What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes. In this video I'm going to be giving you guys a banner review of Legendary Julia's banner that we're getting this month. So she was leaked pretty early on, I believe at the start of the month. So we already knew that she was going to be a Legendary Hero, and we also knew all of the other units. So she's an Earth Legendary Hero with the pair up effect, and that is same as Legendary Alm, which we just got a few months back. She's a blue infantry mage and she comes with Virtuous Naga as her weapon, so that's a 14 might weapon which is effective on dragon units and gives her +3 attack. At start of combat, if she's got more attack than the foe, then it gives her +6 attack and resistance during the combat. This alone tells you that she's gonna be a big bad nuke with really high attack because of this condition. Her special is Dragon Fang and her slotted skill is Mirror Impact. Mirror Impact is a pretty good skill because it adds to her resistance and makes her matchups better against the magical foes and also dragons, because she pretty much has like the Mystic Boost effect from her slot B skill, so the dragons are not able to target her defense. So increasing her resistance is definitely making her really powerful as a dragon killer. And Mirror Impact also means that the foe will not be able to make a follow-up attack, and Julia is likely gonna be pretty slow, so this is a pretty good skill for her. Her slot B skill is Light and Dark, which is an exclusive skill which she has got. It inflicts -2 debuff to all stats of foe during the combat, and it also neutralizes their bonuses like the visible buffs from tactic skills, hone skills, rally skills, stuff like that. And it also disables the adaptive damage skills on foe. So this is really good as a dragon killer, and this is definitely pretty similar to Divine Naga. But here, instead of getting like +3 to all of her stats, instead she inflicts -2 debuff to the foe. And this doesn't really have any kind of condition for trigger. This is gonna be active in the combat no matter what. So it's pretty amazing that she's able to have this kind of effect from Divine Naga as her slot B skill. Definitely helps her a lot with nuking and also being a dragon check. And her slot C skill is a new line of skill that we're gonna be getting. It's basically a counterpart to the Rouse skills. So this is Attack Rest Oath. At start of turn, if you're near an ally, then you get +5 attack and +5 resistance. So this is pretty much a self-buffing skill that requires you to be near an ally at start, compared to Rouse skills where you have to not be near an ally. This line of skill is only going to be inheritable to infantry units and flying units. We know that because of the leak which happened earlier this month. So this is a pretty good skill. It doesn't really support your allies, it's just for self-buffing, and attack and resistance are definitely going to be two of her strongest stats, so that definitely helps her a lot in taking hits and also nuking stuff. Overall, Julia looks like a really solid dragon check and also a really powerful nuke. Light and Dark is really good because you're able to nullify the visible buffs from the foe, and that is going to be so useful in Arena Assault where you have all of these rally skills. Also in Arena if you use her there, and not to mention Ether Raid's defense where you're going to be facing foes who have a lot of buffs, and they usually stack up buffs on their super tanks and stuff like that, so you're just able to ignore that kind of buff and just nuke them through and not really get doubled in the process because of Mirror Impact, unless they are faster than Julia and they also carry something like Quick Repose. Then she will definitely get doubled if she loses the speed check. But overall, like, she seems like a really powerful nuke and a dragon check. Doesn't really look like a broken unit, but she's just really solid. That's pretty much it. And I believe that she's going to be having crazy high attack. So here she's going to be dealing 66 damage to the sword fighter. Unfortunately, we're not really able to make out what her attack stat is. You would think that you will be able to calculate her attack stat from this clip where she triggers her Dragon Fang, but it's actually not going to be accurate because the damage in FEH caps at 99, the preview at the very least. So here you see her do 141 damage and you subtract 99 from that and you get 42 extra damage. Now that's probably not correct because you don't know that this is 99 or something above that 99. It's just unclear because the damage caps at 99 once again in the preview. So that's why you cannot really calculate her attack precisely with this. I mean, still you could definitely get to some value, like at least have an idea where she will have an attack stat. I tried to calculate the attack stat from her first clip where she's attacking this sword fighter. Usually these generic sword fighters have got like 22 resistance, I believe. So I believe that Julia is going to be having 40 base attack, and this can go up to 42 base attack. That's definitely a possibility. So she's going to be having extremely high attack for a mage, and no mage in the game has got 40 base attack, or hell, even 42 base attack. The highest one we have got is Hubert with 39 base attack. And Julia on top of that has a legendary weapon, which gives her +3 attack and gives her more attack if she's got higher attack than the foe. So she is gonna be a very, very strong nuke. And we can see that she's got 40 HP. I think that she might have somewhere around 28 speed and having like 16 defense, really low defense, and resistance with 32. With Mirror Impact and her Slotsy skill, she's able to get 47 resistance, which is still really, really good. So I think like her stats are gonna be somewhere similar to this. It's also similar to the original version of Julia. And finally, after 2.5 years, we got a FE4 alt, which is just making me so happy. I would have liked Seliph, but this is a really good start. I like Julia as well, so I'm honestly really excited for this. I really love her art. It's just so well drawn. And the only thing which disappoints me is the animation of Virtuous Naga. I wish it was a bit more different than the animation which we already have for it. But yeah, but still, like, she is a pretty good unit. Solid unit with good nuking capabilities, with good art, good voice acting. And finally, an FE4 alt, so that's definitely making me happy. Let me know what you think about Legendary Julia in the comment section down below, and what do you think about my stat speculation. And now let us take a look at some of the other units that are present on this banner. So the first one is Gunnthra. Gunnthra is a good unit because of Blizzard, so you're able to have a lot of debuffs on enemies with shield skills, ploy skills, with chilling seal, or like shrine structures, smoke skills, stuff like that. That is going to be helping you a lot getting the debuffs, and then she can get extremely, extremely powerful. She also has workable resistance, so in Ether Raid's offense, you could definitely use her when Light Season is coinciding with Wind Season. I definitely use her a lot there. With just a budget Fury Vantage build, she can work out pretty well. Overall, a good unit, but unfortunately doesn't have anything for fodder. The only reason she's got 1 out of 5 is because Resploy is not easily available on any kind of like Grail unit or any kind of 4-star unit. I know it's a Sacred Seal, but still, it's not available as a Slotsy skill that easily. The moment this is easily available, her fodder rating was gonna drop to 0 for sure. She doesn't really have any kind of value as a fodder, and that's gonna be a trend with a lot of units on this banner, unfortunately. So the next unit we have on this banner is Legendary Ike. Legendary Ike definitely has a lot of value as a fodder because of Warding Breath. He's the only unit who has got that, and breath skills are really, really good. Especially in Ether Raids, you're going to be facing a lot of mages, so their Warding Breath on some kind of distant counter unit or a dragon with Lightning Breath is going to be really powerful. And overall as a unit, he's still one of the better red units that we have got. He's got distant counter built into his weapon, and he also has Radiant Ether, which is a 4-turn Ether, and that goes really well with Warding Breath, and that can actually pair up with skills like Special Spiral really well. So you could basically make a Thanos Ike build where you have Special Spiral, Quick Riposte, Warding Breath, and he's basically able to retaliate back with Ether every time once your Special Spiral is set up. So that's definitely pretty powerful, and that's honestly one of my favorite builds that I use for beating a lot of the in-game content. He's a free-to-play unit, of course, so everyone is going to be having him already, but as a fodder, he does have a lot of value. The next unit we have is female Grima. So she's back here after a while, I guess. She's a pretty good unit because she is a colorless unit, and because of Dragon Skin, she doesn't really have a weakness to bows, but still, she does have the weakness to Dragon Effective weapons, and as you have been seeing, we have been getting a lot of Dragon Effective weapons and just a lot of things that are a threat to Dragon units. Naga, of course, Julia herself on this banner, even Legendary Tiki, but still she's able to perform pretty decently well among them because of her stat line. She's not going to be having access to any kind of breath skills or anything like that. Because she is a colorless unit, she's at least able to have a neutral matchup, and on Flyer Mom team, she can be a really good unit to use. Also in Ether Raid's offense, when the Light Season is coinciding with the Earth Season, she can also be used there. As a super tank pretty much. Mobility is definitely pretty nice, and the fact that she's got a distant counter weapon is also pretty good. Unfortunately for fodder, she doesn't have much. Rest Smoke is pretty much it. It's not really a skill which is used all that much, to be honest. I mean, it can be used on nukes with like close counter vantage, but a lot of people just run like Savage Blow instead of this. She doesn't have much value. Cancel Affinity is not really all that good. Unfortunately, not the best fodder unit. And the next unit we have is Legendary Tiki. So Legendary Tiki is a 180 BSC dragon unit. She's also a Earth Legendary hero, so this banner is really good if you do not have a lot of like Earth Legendary heroes. Tiki being the best one for arena scoring with that 180 BST. So for Earth season or for times where Legendary Tiki is going to be a bonus unit with the Legendary rotation, she can be really useful there. And in Ether Raid's offense, she once again can be made into a super tank when Light Season is coinciding with the Earth Season. In Arena Assault, she can act as a dragon check, so that's really useful. Distant counter weapon that's effective on dragon foes and also has the adaptive damage with Fierce Breath on her kit. It's just a really good combo. And as for Fodder, she does have Fierce Breath, which can be useful if you use it with something like Soul or Noontime for like healing in Ether Raid's offense, I'm thinking. And Bullfighter, of course, is also useful on armor units. And the Breath skill definitely makes her pretty valuable as a fodder. And the next unit we have is Hot Springs Elise. Hot Springs Elise is a Red Dagger Cavalier. She's got pretty high base speed. Her weapon Red Hot Ducks is really good with her high speed. She's a good offensive unit and she doesn't really have like bulk or anything like that, just focusing on offenses. As for fodder, she's got Rally Up Attack Plus and Red Hot Ducks Plus. Red Hot Ducks Plus is definitely a pretty good weapon for dagger units who are pretty fast but don't really have the best attack, because you're able to get the true damage out of this weapon, so that is definitely pretty amazing for fast dagger units. Rally Up Attack Plus is also pretty valuable, and because it's an AoE rally skill, it's really useful in Ether Raid's defense for creating rally traps with how AI functions with AoE rally skills, so that's why it's definitely pretty valuable. And also it's really good for arena scoring. Attack Feint is kind of outdated at this point with the ruse skills, so it doesn't really have that kind of value, and that's pretty much Elise. The next unit we have is Duma. Duma is kind of doomed in Ether Raid's defense because Naga is going to be the Astra mythic hero, which people are going to be running because Astra season always happens with Anima season and people are going to be running Naga. For that matter, Naga is on this banner itself, so it's not really all that good for him, and he does have the mobility issue being an armor unit. Upheaval can actually work in favor of you and also against you. If you have like double Duma setup, you might just set up a Vantage of the foe. The most threatening Duma that you could have in Ether Raid's defense is definitely a DC Vantage, a late map Duma that can definitely be annoying, but he's not really that big of a threat in Ether Raid's defense most of the time. But outside of that, he can be pretty annoying to face in Arena, and also he's pretty useful in Arena Assault as well. So Duma unfortunately isn't really all that good for the mode that he was made for, which is Ether Raid's defense, and on offense you're not going to be using him because he doesn't really give you any kind of extra points. But outside of that, he can be useful. And as for fodder, he has got Bullfighter. A lot of units have Bullfighter as fodder. Defend Rest Solo isn't really the best solo skill to be run, so that's why in my eyes it doesn't really have that much of a value. The next unit we have is Valentine Mist. Valentine Mist is a Green Mage Cavalier. She doesn't really have much competition, but she does decently well with her 34-34 offensive stat spread. She's able to do pretty well, but still she's going to be facing competition from Gunnthra, who is on this banner, and also from Green Tome Olwyn. Green Tome Olwyn has got Thunderhead, which is pretty much a Blade Tome weapon with no special penalty. So even though Olwyn doesn't really have the highest base attack, she's still able to get a lot of damage output because of that. As for fodder, she doesn't really have much value. Rally Defense Rest Plus is the only thing that she has got. The next unit we have is Support God Kaden. So Kaden is definitely one of the best support bots in the game. He's extremely good in Ether Raid's offense, especially as a support bot for a super tank. So you can stack up a lot of buffs on him, and his weapon is going to be giving you that kind of support. Pretty much a reference to Fates where he returns the favor. So that makes him a really good support bot. So for just his support capabilities, he's a really coveted unit. It doesn't really matter how he does as a unit because he's mainly going to be used as a support unit for the most part. Unfortunately, doesn't really have much for fodder. Speed Wrestling is present on Summer Fiora, and Goat Beast is going to be a pretty niche skill for the most part, I think. So it doesn't really bring much for fodder, and that's pretty much for the green pool itself. Like, they don't have much for fodder as it is. But as for unit, Kaden is definitely the best unit out of this green pool as a support unit. He's extremely good in Ether Raid's offense, as I said before, and in general as a support bot. Legendary Roy is definitely one of the more premium sword infantry units in the game, which is a really oversaturated class type. Still, he's able to stand out because of Dragon Bind, which is an effective weapon against dragons. It also has distant counter built into it, and he also has a support skill in Human Virtue, using which he can power up himself and also his allies. And his stat spread is pretty good, like 38 base speed, 34 attack, and overall workable bulk. Bonus Doubler is also really amazing with a distant counter weapon, and a lot of times you can easily use him as a distant counter vantage unit. In Arena Assault, he's going to be really useful as a Dragon Check. In Allegiance Battle, he also is going to be useful because of the pair-up mechanic. And in Aether Raid's offense, whenever Fire Season is coinciding with any kind of season, Astro or Light, you can easily use him as a DC Vantage unit, so that can be done with Legendary Roy. As for Fodder, he has got Bonus Doubler, which is a really useful skill for any kind of distant counter unit, or even if they're not distant counter unit, like Bonus Doubler in general is a pretty good skill if you combine that with someone like Legendary Azura. And on dragons, of course, on a lot of dragons I see that in Aether Raid's offense, a lot of people use Super Tank Dragons with Bonus Doubler, Lightning Breath, and the usual buffs, stuff like that. So Bonus Doubler, really good skill for Fodder, and Roy himself is a pretty good unit as well. The next unit we have is Spring Bruno. So he's pretty unique with how much bulk he has got for a healer, the physical bulk that is, but unfortunately other than that he doesn't really have anything. He has pretty low base attack, he doesn't have resistance, he doesn't have speed, so he's gonna get doubled a lot and he's gonna get hit hard from the magical attacks. And as for Fodder, Ovoid Staff is pretty good, but like it doesn't have the utility of something like Grand Scratcher Plus or Witchy Wand Plus, the other kind of like seasonal staff weapons, which just bring a lot of utility. Dazzling Staff is also a Fodder skill. Other than Maribel, all of the other units who carry the skill are seasonal units, Bruno included, so that's that. Attack Defense Push is also not really all that useful now that we have seen that we're going to be getting tier 4 skills of these push skills. And for healers in general, for like offensive healers, Attack Speed Push 4 is going to be the go-to offensive option. So that's unfortunately Bruno. Also the fact that Brave Veronica is the most picked unit out of Choose Your Legends 2. So that does not really incentivize a lot of people to pull for another cavalry healer who is not going to be providing as much utility as Brave Veronica. And the final unit we have on this banner is Naga. So Naga is an Astro Mythic hero. She is a must if you want to rank high in Aether Raid's Astro seasons. I personally only pulled one Naga on my main account. I have no Naga on my free-to-play account. And on my free-to-play account, I mean, you can reach top 3k in Aether Raids, even with like no Naga, even with losing some lift with defense. And with one Naga, you can definitely reach top 3k in Aether Raids, but I believe that's not going to be happening anymore because people are going to be able to pull more Naga, and 2 Nagas are definitely going to be required, tier 21 plus. And if you're below tier 21, then Naga can definitely be useful for your climb and Astro seasons. Otherwise, you just have to wait for the light season to make your climb from tier 20 to 21 or from 19 to 20. So Naga being an Astro Mythic hero definitely has a lot of value for Aether Raids, of course. But as a unit, she's not really the best unit. Air is just a superior Mythic hero for the light season. And when you use Naga after the light season, you definitely feel the difference between the two. And Dragon units, I would say, are not really all that common in Aether Raid's defense. Duma is definitely the most common one, for sure, because he also is the Anima Mythic hero. So a lot of times, like, Naga is pretty much a dead weight. She just acts as a support unit or like a smite bot, or just providing you the chill debuffs. She doesn't really act as offensive as Air for sure. And I feel like having 2 Nagas is gonna be pretty annoying, honestly. I don't have 2 Nagas, but like I feel that having 2 Nagas is gonna be pretty hard. So hopefully we get some kind of better Astro Mythic hero in future, but nonetheless, for the time being, she is the only Astro unit we have right now. For Aether Raid's defense, she's actually a pretty good unit because you're able to threaten a lot of the Dragon Super Tanks with the Divine Fang skills, so that's definitely pretty amazing. And she doesn't really have much for fodder, honestly. Like, Chill Speed is present on Pan, so like you're not gonna be able to get much out of this. Aether Raid's offense skills are like nobody uses this on offense other than Naga herself, who has this on her base kit. Like, I have never seen anyone use Aether Raid's offense attack speed on their offense team from my defense replays, and I am pretty much in tier 26 a lot of times, so even with the whales, like, nobody really uses this kind of offensive Aether Raid skill. It's pretty situational, so yeah, she doesn't really have any kind of utility as a fodder. If you get multiple copies of her, just merge her, get more points in Aether Raid's offense. that's pretty much it. I mean, she is a decent unit, don't get me wrong, but compared to Air, like, you feel the difference between the mythic heroes, how better Air is just in the light season as a mythic. So overall, this banner has got a really good red pool and blue pool. Blue pool is absolutely amazing with legendary and mythic heroes. Red pool is also really good with legendary Ike and legendary Roy. But other than that, this banner doesn't really have much in my opinion. A lot of the units don't really have much fodder value, so that's definitely a big bummer. We've definitely got much better legendary banners compared to this one. But once again, the blue pool is phenomenal. And the second next best pool is red pool. It really depends on your need. If you're trying to score for Ether Raid's offense, then Naga and the blue pool is gonna be your go-to. You can also get legendary Julia and legendary Tiki, both of the Earth legendary heroes, which is really good. Red pool has got legendary Roy, which is also amazing, and legendary Ike is pretty good, and he also has Fodder and Warding Breath. So that's pretty much it. Not the most impressive legendary banner, and the legendary hero itself isn't really anything broken. She's very solid. It's a really good nuke, but nothing really too crazy, I would say. So that's gonna be it for this banner review. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, then please be sure to leave a like and make sure to share this video with your friends. And if you haven't already, then make sure to subscribe for more Fire Emblem Heroes content and also 3 Houses content, because I'm doing a Let's Play on that as well. And please be sure to hit the notification bell so that you can always get the updates to my videos, because the amount of time YouTube sub boxes work is the same amount of time we get FE4 alts. So with that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.